The power of sleep. Unlock your potential. Hey friends, today we're going to delve deep into this topic which is close to everyone's, well, bed, and that's sleep. We all do it, but why is it so important, particularly for our physical and mental health? Stay to the end and I'll giving you some scientifically proven ways to improve your sleep and what that can do for your physical and mental health and therefore your success in every area of life. This is something that's really close to my bed too, and I've struggled with poor sleep for some time. I remember when I was a student I could sleep so much that I nearly missed a morning exam. But when I've had a good night's sleep and the quality of my next day is so different, I mean the physical activity, the productivity, the difference is like night and day. I am a different person having slept well. I'm Dr. Max, I'm a consultant psychiatrist. I've spent decades learning about the human body and mind, and I have also spent decades helping people from all walks of life. I hope some of these things help you. My passion is your health, and I want to add value to your lives with providing scientific evidence on how to improve your health. So let's get right to mastering your mind with Dr. Max. Let's unpack the science behind this fundamental human activity. So we cycle through various stages of sleep each night, from light sleep to deep sleep and finally to REM sleep, where most dreaming occurs. This cycle repeats itself roughly every 90 minutes or so. Now, the exact amount of sleep we need varies by age and individuals are different, but for adults, generally speaking, the recommendation is between 7 and 9 hours a night, and this sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let's look at the physical benefits first. Sleep is essential for various bodily functions. For example, during sleep, our bodies repair cells and tissues and grow muscle. It's also the time when key hormones are released for growth and development. And that's why sleep deprivation can lead to a host of problems like a weakened immune system, increased risk of chronic conditions such as heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes and stroke. Did you know that lack of sleep is even linked to weight gain? Research shows that people who get less sleep tend to weigh more. And this is partly because sleep deprivation can disrupt hormones that regulate appetite, leading to increased hunger and calorie intake. In fact, several studies have explored the relationship between sleep deprivation and weight gain. I'm going to highlight some of them to help you. And one of the things that they impact is hormones. Sleep affects the level of two key hormones which are involved in hunger and satiety, which just means how full we feel. One is called ghrelin, the other one is called leptin. And there was a study in 2004 that demonstrated that people with less sleep, who slept less than 5 hours a night, had changes in these levels of hormones, leading to increased appetite and potential weight gain. Specifically, their ghrelin levels, a hormone that makes you feel hungry, was higher. And the leptin level, the hormone that makes you feel fuller and signals to the brain that you're full, was actually lower. Another factor is increased calorific intake, and there was a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2011 which found that sleep-restricted individuals who were only allowed to sleep for about 4 hours a night for 5 nights consume more calories due to additional meals and more likely to choose high carbohydrate snacks. And number 3 is lack of sleep's impact on physical activity. Sleep deprivation leads to a decreased physical activity, and this might be really obvious because of fatigue and not being able to exercise so much, and over time weight builds up. What else? Metabolic changes. There was a research study in 2010 in the Annals of Internal Medicine which discovered that chronic sleep deprivation could lessen the capacity of fat cells to respond to insulin. Insulin is a really important hormone that regulates energy storage and use. This insulin resistance can lead to weight gain over time other health problems such as diabetes, which is a really serious problem in the world today. Lack of sleep also influences the reward system. In a 2013 study, there was a study regarding sleep deprivation and the brain's reward system, and it showed us that with sleep deprivation can increase our desire for food, which can result in overeating and weight gain. Therefore, there's quite a few studies which show that sleep deprivation leads to weight gain through multiple mechanisms, which may include hormonal, calorific, physical activity, metabolic changes, and also altering the reward system. However, it is essential to understand that weight is a complex topic. It's not just sleep, but of course diet and exercise and many other psychological aspects. Now, if you're finding any information in this video helpful, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel. This really encourages me and my team. We spend a long time making these videos, and by you pressing the like button and subscribing, it also helps spread the video to many other people like you who may benefit from it too. So thank you for that. But the importance of sleep doesn't stop at our physical health. It's equally crucial for our mental health. Sleep clears our minds, quite literally. During sleep, the brain removes waste products that build up during the day. This cleaning up process thought to protect against neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. Further, sleep is vital for learning and memory. When we sleep, our brain forms new pathways that help us to remember information. That's why pulling an all-nighter before an exam or a big presentation or a big business deal is not a great idea. Also, lack of sleep helps affect our mood and mental health. There's a strong link between insomnia, depression, anxiety, and other mood disorders. For example, in my patients who have bipolar affective disorder, one of the relapse triggers or signatures is that lack of sleep. When they start sleeping less, I know possibly they're becoming more unwell. So I watch out for that. So clearly a good night's sleep does more than just leave us feeling refreshed. It's essential to our physical and mental health. Therefore, these studies show us that sleep deprivation leads to weight gain and so many other problems. But weight is important because being overweight is one of the real health challenges in the world today. Now, I really like the idea of this concept, this idea of clearing toxins from our brain, which is a remarkable discovery which happened in 2012. And there's a waste clearance system in the brain which was discovered then called the glymphatic system. This system flushes out waste products through the brain's cerebrospinal fluid, which is called the CSF or cerebrospinal fluid. And there was a study on this topic published in Science in 2013 by a team of researchers from the University of Rochester Medical Center. They used a new imaging technology called 2-photon microscopy. They looked at mouse brain activity, and they found that during sleep the brain cells reduced in size, making the gaps wider, and on average 60% larger. That means more CSF, that same fluid, could flow through the brain, flush away the proteins that were harmful. And these proteins accumulate when we're awake and flush away when we're asleep. One of these proteins is actually called beta amyloid. It's a toxic protein that can clump together and form plaques which are associated with Alzheimer's disease. This discovery suggests that a persistent lack of sleep could potentially contribute to neurodegenerative diseases. This is of particular interest to me since I have many patients who suffer from dementias, including Alzheimer's disease. Then there's another study that came in 2015, which showed that the glymphatic system was 10 times more active during sleep than awake. So this system really is important, and it's primarily active when we sleep. So that's another reason why sleep is so crucial. So putting these studies and evidence together, it seems that there's a sleep-dependent physiological process that removes waste products from our brain. And this is an active area of research, and scientists are still looking into this. And what does this really mean? What are the implications for us, for our brain, for our health? But apart from this, there is further scientific research suggesting there's a strong relationship between sleep quality, duration, and heart disease. And I'm going to just sum up some of the associations between this just to illustrate some examples. For example, there was a short sleep duration study published in the European Heart Journal in 2011, and they performed a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis is a combination of studies. It's a more powerful way of looking at things than just one study. And they showed there was a greater risk of dying from coronary heart disease for people who had shortened sleep. So, for example, people who slept less than 6 hours per night had an increase of 11% risk. Okay. There's another thing called sleep apnea. If we have sleep apnea. This is a disorder which stops people breathing during sleep, and this has again been strongly associated with heart disease. There was a statement given by the American Heart Association in 2008, which said that sleep apnea is not only associated with irregular heartbeat, which are arrhythmias, high blood pressure, which is hypertension, but also coronary artery disease, heart failure, and stroke. So, that's a significant association. Now, insomnia, which means difficulty in falling asleep or staying asleep, has also been associated with the increased risk of heart disease. There's a large study in 2020 which followed over 500,000 people for a decade, and they found that people with genetic susceptibility to insomnia had a modestly increased risk of heart disease and stroke. Okay, so another reason why we should try and improve sleep habit. There's something called shift work sleep disorder, and that looks at the relationship between shift workers and the body's circadian rhythm, and particularly how this can disrupt melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that's released from the brain which helps us to fall asleep, and they found that this disruption in shift working can have metabolic effects such as inflammation, blood pressure, etc. So further evidence that shift working and poor patterns of sleep are really not a great thing for us in many ways. And remember though that this is a correlation, and not all correlation are causation. For example, if I tell you that more aeroplanes flying over the countryside have increased milk production in cows, those two facts might be true, but it's not necessarily that one caused the other. So aeroplanes don't cause increased milk production in cows, for example, although if you just look at the face of it, it may. So always remember that correlation is not causation, and this is true in every aspect of life, not just in research. But what is really clear and obvious despite this is that good sleep hygiene is really important aspect of our health and our lives, in fact, and our life expectancy and our quality of life, and how well we're going to remain into old age and young age even, and what we're going to achieve in terms of success even, actually, because you can't be successful in life if you don't sleep well. Right, so now, as promised, I'm going to give you some evidence-based methods, scientific ways to help improve your sleep. Right, number one, keep a regular sleep schedule. Keep a regular sleep schedule. Go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends, if you're off, if you've got whatever going on, doesn't matter, because doing various times of sleep and wake affects the body's circadian rhythms, and these are partly controlled by melatonin, which signals the brain to sleep. So if your melatonin is telling you to sleep but you're awake partying or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with partying, but if you do it too often, the brain can get disrupted. Number two, create a restful environment. The environment you should be sleeping in should be quiet, dark and cool. This will help you to sleep better. Use earplugs. I use the ones that play relaxing sounds, and you can get a mask or a fan if your room is too hot. So number three, limit light exposure before going to bed. So looking at the phone or video or TV right before you try and fall asleep is not great, because again that suppresses melatonin production, which in turn disrupts sleep. Number four, avoid stimulants. Caffeine and nicotine and alcohol actually will also disrupt sleep. Alcohol will fool you into thinking that you can fall asleep easier with so-called nightcap, but actually alcohol disrupts the sleep, both in terms of length and quality. Number five, be mindful of what you eat and drink. Don't go to bed really hungry, don't go really full either, because this discomfort will affect you. And also don't drink too much before bedtime, because you'll be up and then peeing and then you won't be able to sleep well. Number six, physical activity. We have evidence that regular, at least moderate physical activity can help you sleep better, improve the quality of your sleep. Number seven, manage your worries, because if you take your worries to bed with you, they'll be controlling you and your mind, and you'll be thinking and ruminating, and things will be going round and round, and you won't be able to sleep. For example, in 2015, JAMA Internal Medicine found mindfulness meditation had a positive impact on sleep quality. Now I'm going to be doing videos on mindfulness meditation and what it means and how it can help us, because to try to practice it is very simple, and actually to do it very well is difficult, but you can, the more you practice the better you become. And if you're too busy to do this, this is really important for you if you think you're too busy to do this, right? I'll come back to that in another video. Number 8, limit daytime naps. Now, you should not be napping more than 20 to 30 minutes at the most, and doing that in the mid-afternoon, not at other times, because that will affect the sleep quality at night. Number 9, you need to have a wind down period, about 30 minutes approximately, before bed, without light, without anything like that. Stretch, relax, calming music, reading a book. Number 10, and this is really important as a first line treatment for people with chronic insomnia, is CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI as it's called. And this involves a number of behavioral changes like we discussed a few minutes ago: cognitive control of our thoughts, psychoeducation, and relaxation. So a lot of sleep habit is about training ourselves, and that's why it's called sleep hygiene, because hygiene is a habit and sleep hygienes are also a habit. Sleep is vital to our physical and mental health, repairing our bodies, our brains, reducing and maintaining a healthy weight, reducing the risk of chronic diseases. It's essential to mental health, to learning, to memory, to mood regulation and brain health. So next time you're tempted to trade your sleep by an extra hour, let's say, to finish that movie or watch that whatever video game you're playing, or or to not sleep for whatever reason, try to prioritize your sleep, because that's the best thing that you can do for your health, and the payoff is huge potentially. Thanks for joining me today, and here's to a good night's sleep. I want you to try to learn more psychological techniques on how to master your mind with Dr. Max. If you want that too, each one of these videos has some pearls in them, and one of these pearls might actually change your life. So please keep watching the videos.